Welcome to the Daily Globe. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The Supreme Court has sent shockwaves through Washington and beyond, delivering a decision that will be felt in every corner of the nation's capital and far outside its borders. The ruling, handed down after weeks of speculation and mounting tension, has upended expectations and set a new precedent for the relationship between the executive branch and the federal workforce. By granting the Trump administration the go-ahead for sweeping federal layoffs, the court has opened the door to one of the most significant shakeups in modern government history. Federal agencies are now bracing for immediate changes, with employees facing the prospect of job loss and entire departments preparing for restructuring. In an 8-1 decision, the court removed the last legal barrier to a massive overhaul of the federal workforce, one of President Trump's signature promises. The majority opinion emphasized the president's broad authority to manage the executive branch, while the lone dissent warned of potential long-term consequences for government stability. This move has immediate consequences for tens of thousands of public servants and the millions who rely on their work. From Social Security offices to environmental agencies, the impact will ripple through communities nationwide, affecting everything from public health to infrastructure projects. International observers are watching closely, as a sudden reduction in the federal workforce could disrupt diplomacy, trade, and global partnerships. Allies and rivals alike are recalibrating their expectations, uncertain how America's changing government will affect global stability and cooperation. The ruling marks a major victory for the executive branch, affirming the president's authority over the administrative state. For the Trump administration, it's a validation of their push to streamline government and reduce bureaucracy, a campaign promise now realized on an unprecedented scale. Supporters see this as a push for efficiency and accountability, arguing that a leaner government will better serve taxpayers. Critics, however, warn it threatens the nonpartisan civil service that underpins American democracy, raising fears of politicization and loss of institutional knowledge. Behind the headlines are real people, federal employees and their families, now facing deep uncertainty. For many, tonight's decision means not just the loss of a job, but the loss of stability, community, and a sense of purpose built over years of public service. The process begins now, and the coming months will test the resilience of American institutions and those who serve within them. As the nation watches, the true impact of the Supreme Court's decision will unfold, shaping the future of government and the lives of millions. This Supreme Court decision is the climax of a months-long legal and political battle. It began in February 2025, when President Trump signed an executive order directing all federal agencies to prepare for major staff reductions. The Office of Management and Budget quickly issued guidelines for implementing these cuts. Legal challenges erupted nationwide, with judges in California and Boston issuing injunctions to block the layoffs, citing concerns over bypassing Congress and crippling essential agencies. Federal employee unions celebrated early victories, but conflicting lower court rulings created a patchwork of legal uncertainty. The Ninth Circuit upheld a nationwide block, while other courts issued narrower orders. The mounting legal chaos made Supreme Court intervention inevitable. Now, with the High Court's ruling, the administration's plans can move forward, at least for now. On July 8, 2025, the Supreme Court issued a brief but powerful order that sent shockwaves through Washington and across the nation. In a decision with immediate consequences, the court ruled that the Trump administration can proceed with mass layoffs of federal employees, even as ongoing legal challenges work their way through the courts. This means that thousands of government workers now face the prospect of losing their jobs before the legal process is complete. The majority opinion, which included Justices Sotomayor and Kagan, emphasized the importance of presidential authority over the executive branch. Their decision signaled a strong belief that the president should have broad discretion to manage federal personnel, especially in times of political transition or controversy. The language used by the court suggests that, when the case is fully heard, the administration is likely to win. This gives the president significant power to reshape the federal workforce, potentially altering the way government operates for years to come. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was the lone dissenter. She warned that allowing these layoffs to proceed could cause lasting harm to the civil service, undermining its stability and independence before the courts have a chance to fully review the case. Her dissent highlights the deep divisions and high stakes involved. For the Trump administration, the ruling is a major tactical victory. It allows them to begin layoffs immediately, giving them leverage and momentum while the legal battle continues. For federal workers, it means uncertainty and upheaval, as many must now prepare for the possibility of sudden job loss. The legal fight is far from over, but the situation on the ground is changing rapidly. Every day that passes under this order could reshape the federal workforce in ways that may be difficult to reverse, even if the courts later rule against the administration. By the time the courts reach a final decision, the federal government may look very different than it does today. Offices could be emptied, and the experience and expertise of longtime civil servants may be lost. The Supreme Court's move has dramatically shifted the balance of power between the executive branch and the civil service, raising the stakes for federal workers and the future of government itself. With the legal roadblocks gone, the Trump administration is set to implement layoffs across 21 major federal agencies. Departments like State, Treasury, and Transportation, pillars of government, face deep cuts. Agencies serving veterans, retirees, and vulnerable populations are especially at risk, with potential delays and disruptions looming. The newly created Department of Government Efficiency, once led by Elon Musk, is driving the aggressive cost-cutting strategy. Their data-driven approach will now be put to the test on an unprecedented scale. For federal workers, the future is uncertain. Job losses, loss of expertise, and a looming brain drain threaten the government's ability to respond to crises. The impact will be felt far beyond Washington. The Supreme Court's decision has drawn sharp, immediate reactions. The White House declared victory, framing the ruling as a mandate to drain the swamp and rein in bureaucracy. Federal employee unions, meanwhile, called it a blow to democracy and a threat to essential public services. Supporters like Steve Bannon hailed the decision as a win for presidential power, arguing it's time to dismantle the so-called deep state. Legal experts note the ruling signals the court's impatience with nationwide injunctions and a shift toward greater executive authority. Critics warn this could erode checks and balances, making it harder for courts to block sweeping federal actions. The battle lines are drawn, and the debate over the future of the civil service is only intensifying. These layoffs aren't just numbers, they could reshape daily life for millions. Cuts at the Department of Education may mean less support for students, fewer resources for schools, and weakened civil rights enforcement. The loss of stable federal jobs could hit local economies hard, especially in regions with many government workers. Disruptions at agencies like the EPA and FDA could create uncertainty for businesses and consumers alike. National security and diplomacy may suffer as the State Department and other agencies lose experienced staff. The reliability of government services, from Social Security to disaster response, could be at risk. At stake is the public's trust in a government that works for its people. If essential services falter, confidence in democracy itself could erode. Legal scholars see the Supreme Court's order as a major boost for presidential power. The ruling strengthens the unitary executive theory, giving future presidents more direct control over the federal workforce. Analysts like Professor Jonathan Turley highlight the court's pushback against nationwide injunctions, signaling a shift in how federal policies are challenged. Critics argue the decision sidelines Congress, allowing the president to rewrite civil service rules unilaterally. The ruling raises questions about the future of a nonpartisan, professional civil service. Justice Jackson's dissent warns of a return to a politicized spoils system, where loyalty trumps expertise. The long-term impact, a government more vulnerable to political swings and less anchored by institutional knowledge. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's dissent stands as a powerful warning. She called the executive order a wrecking ball, aimed at the foundations of government, arguing the layoffs would cripple agencies before the courts could fully weigh in. Jackson emphasized the loss of specialized skills and decades of experience, painting a grim picture of a government unable to meet its obligations. Her dissent is a rallying cry for those fighting to preserve a professional, nonpartisan civil service. While her view didn't sway the outcome, it sets the stage for future legal and political battles. Powerful dissents have shaped history before. Her words may yet influence the course of American governance. For now, her warning echoes as the government faces a period of profound change. As of October 1, 2025, the United States stands at a crossroads. The nation faces a moment of profound uncertainty, with decisions made now likely to echo for decades. Americans everywhere are feeling the weight of this pivotal time, as the country grapples with questions about its future direction and core values. The Supreme Court's decision has triggered a rapid transformation of the federal government, with layoffs and agency shakeups already underway. Entire departments are being restructured, and thousands of federal employees are facing an uncertain future. The ripple effects are being felt not just in Washington, but in communities across the nation. The legal and political battles are far from over, with unions and Congress gearing up for the next round. Lawmakers are debating new legislation, advocacy groups are mobilizing, and the courts are bracing for a wave of new challenges. The struggle over the future of government is just beginning. For the public, these changes will affect everything from the services you receive to the strength of the economy. Everyday life may be disrupted, as access to essential programs and benefits becomes less certain. Families are left wondering how these shifts will impact their jobs, healthcare, and financial security. Staying informed and engaged is more important than ever. In a time of rapid change, understanding what's happening and why can help you make better decisions for yourself and your loved ones. Community conversations and reliable news sources are vital. Contact your representatives, support organizations that align with your values, and pay attention to how these changes impact your community. Your voice matters, and collective action can shape the outcome of this critical moment. This is about more than politics. It's about the character of the nation and the future of American democracy. The choices we make now will define who we are as a people and what kind of country we want to leave for those who come after us. The choices made now will shape the country for generations to come. In this defining moment, every action counts, and the path forward depends on the courage and commitment of all Americans.